Neil, you ready?
Almost.
There's some questions that all the viewers have been asking. We've got the best ones, and you're going to ask me them.
Yes. So the first one comes from Jordan Oroshiba, and he's talking about bunny hops, and he says, does a longer chainstay, heavier bike and lighter rider make it, from a physics perspective, harder to do a bunny hop?
Ooh, that is going to be a yes.
I would say so, yeah. I've definitely seen it when coaching really small riders, young riders, that they're throwing all their weight around. It's not working quite so well. It's the same with the bike. Definitely longer chainstay is going to make it harder to manual.
And with it being heavier, it's going to take a lot more energy to lift that bike into the air effectively too.
It's definitely not impossible, it's just probably slightly harder.
But you have got some good excuses there.
Exactly. Nick Williams has got a 29er cross-country bike hardtail, and he wants to upgrade to a full suspension bike. Should he stay with the 29er or switch to 27.5? He rides Bike Park Wales and Cwm Carn, so bike parky stuff with a lot of climbs. What do you think?
I'm probably going to say, well, I don't know. I always ride 27.5, but everyone is going for the 29er option these days. And if you're riding that bike park stuff and you've got a 140mm bike, then the 29er is going to roll that a little bit easier over some of the bigger bumps. So
they're getting more popular, aren't they? The long travel 29er. So I guess the only way to really know this is to try the both. Try the both bikes together, 27.5 and 29, and see which you prefer.
Yeah, what about going to like a demo day or something like that, and then doing back-to-back runs and seeing what works for you?
I would say, yeah, like I said, they roll better, probably less sort of flickable is the biggest thing, I think, with 29ers. Okay, Flyman Dan, can you put a bigger shock on a bike if you pair it with a bigger fork? Will it cancel it out?
It depends what he means by a bigger shock, because if he means like a longer shock, then that's, well, you can put it on, I guess, but it's not going to actually do it. It's going to affect your geometry.
Yeah. So it's going to turn it into a bit of a monster truck if you start going bigger on everything, if the bike isn't designed for it. The bottom bracket height will be getting too high, and it's not going to be sort of optimum, yeah, riding. So.
And you're probably going to find that your warranty that'll be done over. So
that's true.
I'd say just check out the manufacturer's sort of recommendations and go from there.
McCaw Factory, how do wheelies help on the trail?
God, there's loads of different ways. There's on the uphill, I'd say they probably help quite a lot, and you just need to pop a tiny little wheelie to get up and over a step. You could come out of a turn, do a little wheelie, and you could get into the next section nicely.
Yeah, getting over bumps. I always think that wheelies and manuals are really good for learning where your balance point is on the bike. So especially wheelies, you can get up there and use a back brake to bring the front wheel back down. Therefore, you just got a better idea of how much you can throw the bike around on jumps, things like that. Yeah, just helps a little bit. Colby Devereaux, what are the benefits of oval chainrings?
I don't know, I've never tried one.
I've ridden one. It feels a little bit weird to begin with. We get used to it pretty quick. It just feels a little bit peaky. So you roll over the top and you can feel a little bit of a spike in the power. I don't think there's anything actually proven with oval chainrings, although you see a lot of top road riders using them. So I think the jury's out on that one.
Maybe it's something that we should ask GCN?
Maybe. Yeah, different. Crosser Kid, how do you do a rolling stoppie?
A little bit of front brake, not too much front brake. Bring that weight forward, and it's practice. It's finding that balance point. You don't want to get too overconfident though, because you'll find that
we've all done that. But you should check out our video for some more tips. I'm using my hips to do this, so I want to pump down and then bring my hips up towards the handlebars. I'm then grabbing a hand for the front brake. That's the hard part, is getting a feel for how much front brake you need to get that back wheel up in the air. Next one comes from Mr. Caffeine, hashtag AskGMBN. How often would you recommend to change a handlebar? He snapped 2 in the past when bike parts were less durable. PS, my BMI is okay.
Well, good to know that he's in shape.
Yep.
Starting off there. That's a bit of a hard one, because it is obviously designed to be a strong component in the bike, but it's going through such hard cycles of life that it probably comes down to how much you're riding, how often you've crashed on it, and if it's got any marks depending on carbon and aluminium. Yeah, definitely carbon bar. I think if I've put a bit of a gouge in it or anything like that, I would replace it. Alloy bars probably don't do that quite so much. However, I don't do the carbon bars. Have you ever snapped the bar?
Never snapped. I've bent some old alloy bars. Big old crash. Never snapped any. You?
I've snapped the pair. It's actually really strange, because I was just coming around the turn, pushed the bike in really hard, just dropped beneath, and then obviously your weight just swings around and it hit the ground pretty hard. That was okay. Super Smash Bros V2. How do you guys get your bikes shipped when you go to different countries? Also, are there any good trails in London? Can't comment on the London trails, but we get them shipped by taking them on the plane with us. We put them into bike bags, cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
and just pack them really carefully. It's your pride and joy after all, so why wouldn't you want to look after it?
There are companies that ship them, say if you're going somewhere, you know, far away like New Zealand or sort of Whistler for us, or Canada, you can ship them early, especially for taking a few bikes, but if you're just taking one, take it on plane, it's the easiest thing to do. ZZ Nippy, any tips on getting really tight wire bead tyres off the rim?
I'm going to say my 2 tips are pop it right into the center of the rim, because that's going to give you, like, the tire's going to be at its loosest then, and then make sure that you're using a good set of tire levers. Yeah,
I've done a video on this, how to change tyres without using any tools, but check that out, but you might need tyre levers. And now what I'm going to do is grab a handful of the tyre and pull it up and away from the rim. You can just about see that bead there. I've put my foot down there just to hold the wheel onto the floor, and now I'm just pulling that tyre over, so as slack as possibly can, just trying to get this one bead of the tyre up and over the rim. It's time for the quickfire round. Have you got your big guns this week?
Got them right here. You ready?
Stand back.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's not so good. Right, Jack Thompson, do carbon fibre wheels buckle?
Can you answer this one?
I don't think they really do. The rim's going to stay straight. I guess the spokes could come out of tension a little bit. But that's one of the advantages.
I'm going to agree with.
Yeah, they don't really buckle. You can't bend carbon fibre wheel. Rim, even. Pooh Bear, were any of the presenters gifted in any other sports that don't use bikes?
No. You were just telling me a little story that I didn't know.
Well, I wasn't, definitely not. But actually, Blake was a champion wrestler back in Zimbabwe when he was a youngster.
I can actually imagine it.
Yeah, impressive that, isn't it?
Yeah, because you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him.
No. Yogi Akka, would you prefer centre lock or 6-bolt disc brakes?
Oh, centre lock every time.
I'm on the fence. Does it matter?
Yeah.
Okay, centre bolt. John Paul Bautista, is there any disadvantage to having wider rims?
Any disadvantage? Yes. There's going to be more material to make that rim wider, so it's going to, I guess, be a little bit heavier.
The wider the better, really. Fat bikes, yeah. For life. Will Heimer, hi guys, I don't have a clutch on my mech. Would a narrow wide system, would it work, the narrow wide system?
Yeah, definitely, but you're gonna need a chain guide for sure.
Yeah, I've done it on a cross-country bike with a clutchless mech, and it sort of worked, to be fair, but try it, yeah, you might not.
You can almost upgrade to that narrow wide layer.
That's what I thought. Ross Penny, hi guys, how do I get more small bump compliance in his fork? Maybe lower pressure with a bottomless token added?
Yeah, you could take out a little bit of pressure, that's going to help, and then low speed compression, take a little bit of that off if he's got that adjustment, and yeah, it should be smoother then for you.
Sounds like a plan. That is the end of the quickfire round.
Right, time for Correct Me If I'm Wrong. You guys have been sending us videos to ask@gmbn.com, and we're going to give you a little bit of advice. So what we got, Neil?
First one is a bunny hop from Justin Wu. I believe you were talking about bunny hops in last week's Ask.
I was.
So he's bunny hopping over a pile of snow in his shorts.
Nice, he cleared it.
Clears it pretty good. I would say if you look at this in slow-mo, you can see that both wheels are coming up at sort of really similar times. If you look at the wheels, they draw a big sort of square shape in the bunny hop, which does the trick, but it's not as useful on the trail as doing proper front wheel then back wheel, because you can start using that over obstacles in the trail rather than doing a big square and sort of maybe coming up short and landing on a rock or a root or whatever you're trying to go over. So try and do more of a manual first.
Makes sense.
The last one comes from Greg Toth, and he's riding this big wall ride in Willingham Woods. Coming in on a big jump.
Ooh, it doesn't quite make that.
Comes up a little bit short. Wall ride is pretty good. It could go further, I suppose.
Yeah. I guess definitely if you had a little bit more speed, you could A, clear the jump, and then B, get higher up on the wall ride.
Hit it a bit more of an angle, I suppose, a wall ride, so sort of carve into it a bit, you'll get higher, you'll sort of stick to it a bit better, and then you'll get the whole way around. It's pretty big though.
I also like to do that kind of compression thing where you almost like weight the bike in and weight it, so you lift up and then you ride along it, and then you just naturally drop as soon as you feel those tyres just sort of sliding away because you're losing speed and fighting gravity.
Yep, keep sending your videos to ask@gmbn.com and we'll take a look at them and try and help you out.
And don't forget to leave all your questions down below in the comments section. And if you want to watch more videos from GMBN, then check out this one all about 5 places you can use to bunny hop on the trail. And check out this video about box components and their 1x system, and click on subscribe here if you haven't done already. And don't forget to give this video a thumb up like, and we'll see you next week.